Good afternoon from Vietnam. Good morning to you, Brother Haitham. Thanks a lot for spending your morning, already busy morning, joining our program to share your story and your wisdom to our audience around the world. And on behalf of listeners everywhere, I want to say thank you.
Well, I wish to thank you so much, Brother Ha, because I know that I have been busy for the last couple of months since we met in Vietnam, but now is the time that we are making this opportunity. And I think the delay has served us well because it's towards the end of the year. People are celebrating Christmas and New Year and whatnot. So it's a moment of celebration, I think. And I really would like to thank you so much for approaching me and offering me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And as I shared with you, we're going to bring this conversation to celebrate our new year together with everybody. So I will share with you on January 1st. I'll tag you on the post and we bring it this story, your wisdom, so other people can learn, can celebrate the year together. All right?
All right.
Hey, and you came to our country. You know our people in this country. It's very honor for our audience to have you to share a little bit about who you are and the work you are doing to our audience. Would you please do such honor for us?
Okay. My name is Haitham Shaheen, and I am based in Amman, Jordan. I currently hold the position of the regional director at the International Coaching Federation for Middle East, North Africa, and the Asia Pacific region. And I've been doing this job for almost 8+ years. And it's a delight. It's an absolute delight to have the opportunity of, just chatting about this journey with you all through my close friend and brother Ha from Vietnam.
Brother Haitham, you have a journey of 30 something years of awesomeness, and you introduced to us in less than 2 minutes, and that's not fair for our audience. Okay, so as I shared with you, we are going to travel time and to help our audience to understand the transformative moment in your life. Okay, so I'll lead the way. How does time travel sound to you?
Excuse me?
How does time travel sound to you? How does that sound to you?
Oh, it's brilliant because I've been on this earth for a long time, and a time travel journey would help me and listeners to really go through that different phases of my life. So I appreciate you taking the lead on this.
Alrighty. So when you came to Vietnam last time, did you come to Da Nang?
I actually came to Ho Chi Minh City for a business meeting, but
Uh-huh.
I've never been to Da Nang. I heard a lot about it, but I must say that I did not have the time to go to Da Nang when I came to Vietnam 2 months back.
So next time you come, we're gonna go to Da Nang together. That's my hometown. I was born there.
Oh,
Yeah, I was born there, and Da Nang is in the middle of the country. And during the wars in here, that is where all the bombs happen a lot. Okay, so it's
wow.
devastated, and I was born in the very poor community, in a poor city, in a poor family. All right. So one night we had electricity. The next night we did not have electricity, so I couldn't
Wow.
see things at night. My first dream about what I want to do when I grow up is to become an astronaut, so that I can fly to the moon. Then I can see how bright it is up there. And then life has taken me to a different path, doing different things, right? So for my brother Haitham, when you were little, what was your dreams about, the future work that you are going to do?
Wow. So I was born in Amman, which is the capital of Jordan. And I was born during a time when the country was at war. So 1967 was the exact year, and it was a year where there is conflict in my region in the Middle East. So I remember, I was told by my late mom that when I was born, my father was not around. My father was in the Air Force at that time, and he was called for duty because he was an Air Force officer, and because of the state of war that the country was in, he was not able to be there next to my mom when she was giving birth to me. So I grew up in a very modest, humble family. I recall my early childhood days. I was living in my grandparents' house. So we did not have a house of our own. It was me, my mom, and my dad. We were living in my grandfather's home along with two uncles of mine who were married. In the Middle East, it was common back in the days where you have the extended families living together in the grandfather house or something of that sort. So I grew up with my cousins in a large extended family. I recall then when we used to sit down for lunch or for dinner, we were almost 18 or 20 people, and the table
Wow.
could not accommodate all of us. So we used to take turns on who sits at the table first. Being youngest in the family, they used to feed us first so that they get done with us and they would have that family time, the grown-ups. So that was my early childhood. My mom was a teacher. She was actually working in a school which was two floors from my grandfather's house. So she did not take so much distance to commute. She just used to go down the stairs for two floors and she goes into her classrooms.
Ah,
I also recall right now, since we're talking about my childhood, that as I was growing up, we didn't have daycare, we didn't have kindergarten. So it's usually the grandmother or the grandfather or the aunts who would take care of me when my mom was at school and my father was in the Air Force. As I started growing up, becoming more of a 5 or 6 year old, I remember that I used to sneak down from my grandfather's house, go down the stairs, go into the school because everybody knew me. I'm the Arabic teacher's son. My mother's name was Salwa, so they all knew me by here's Salwa's son. And everybody was really nice and kind to me because, I'm connected to the teacher. And I would casually just open the door of any of the classes where my mom was teaching, and I would just sit on the bench. Nobody
oh,
minded it. It was a government school. It was a public school, so there were no strict regulations at that time. And this is back in the early 70s. And I used to sit and watch my mom teach Arabic language for the students.
ah,
And probably it's because I had this access to being in classrooms. I was actually admitted in the first grade at a very early age. The legal age to be in the first grade in Jordan was about 6 years. I
ah,
was admitted in the first grade at the age of 5, so a year earlier than usual. And maybe because I was tuned to classes and to learning, English or Arabic. So when my mom took me to the school for my first grade, they made me some sort of an entry exam similar to what we have right now,
ah,
and they asked me basic questions. I cannot remember what they asked me because I was 5 years at that time. But I recall collectively that I was admitted immediately because they thought that I had more knowledge than a 5-year-old that would allow me to enter the sixth grade and continue my studies. So these were my early childhood days, and thinking about it right now, it was amazing. So that was early 1971 and 72. These were my early childhood days
ah,
uh, when we were living at my grandparents' house. But then I think by the time my brother was born, we became a big family, rather a big family, and we moved to the Air Force base or the Air
ah,
Force headquarters at that time, where we had the first house of our own. So it was the first time that we are together as a family, independent of my, grandfather, grandmother, and uncles and aunts and all that. That was probably early 70s. And that was the time when I had to change school because we changed the neighborhood. So I went to a different school than the school which I started my studies in. That
mm.
was my early days of childhood, I remember, until the year 1972, 73.
and 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 how often how things go after that? When you
Well,
first growing your dreams about the future works that you are going to do, going to the school early, right?
yes,
Inspired by your mother's teaching and your father in the Air Force. Then how does that lead into your next journey, your early journey in your career life, though?
I remember that when we moved to the Air Force headquarters,
Huh.
uh, I think it was the first time that I'm exposed to having friends, real friends, because there were so many families living in the Air Force at headquarters at that time. And I remember now, my God, like you're taking me way back in time. I don't remember when was the last time I even thought about those times. But thank you so much for the opportunity. So
Thank
I'm
you.
trying to break it down in phases now, just to be chronologically
Uh-huh.
adequate. So I remember it was only in the Air Force when I started riding the bicycle for the first time because we had better streets, better neighborhoods. It was more of a campus sort of thing
Mm.
because we had a gate in the front. Not so many people would go in. Only the people who lived inside the Air Force headquarters would come in. So it was a very close community, but they were all Air Force officers, and we would go. I started learning riding the bike for the first time. It was my father, may he
Uh-huh.
rest in peace, that has taught me how to. It was a tricycle at the beginning, but then we went into a bicycle, and I used to enjoy riding the bicycle in the Air Force camp a lot because it was actually built by the British when they were in Jordan, and they brought the British houses style into the headquarters, meaning
Mm.
that we had tilted roofs, we had fireplace in every house because that was the tradition in England, and we did not use the fireplaces a lot, but it was there with the mantelpiece and everything. So it
Uh-huh.
was more of a decorative touch rather than a practical heating appliance, if I may say. So these were very early days when I started really creating those relationships with friends of my age. We used to ride the bicycle a lot. We used to play around the playgrounds there. So it was a more of the first, I would say, social opportunity where I would really build relationships with others. We used to
Oh.
visit our neighbors during daytime, but we had a very strict schedule. I remember my mom, because she was a teacher, she makes sure that there was a time for playing, a time for doing your homework, studying, having dinner. And at that time we did not have TV 24 hours as the generation of today. We had the TV starting at, I think, 5:30 p.m. and it closes at 10 p.m. Those were the only broadcasting hours
Mm.
for the TV at that time. And if I remember correctly, the cartoon time where we had, Mickey Mouse, Woody Woodpecker, and all those tunes from Disney, they were only for 15 minutes. So my mom used to make sure that we're cleaned up, we're dressed in our pajamas by 5:30 so that we watch TV, watch the cartoons, then leave and have dinner. And after that, we're tucked in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock. That was always the case. 7:30, 8 o'clock was the time when me and my brother at that time, we need to be in bed because we had to wake up the next morning. And because my mom was a teacher, she used to wake us up in the morning, make sure that we have, our food for school, dressed up nicely, and the Air Force was offering us a transportation. So we used just to stand outside our house, and the Air Force bus would come and pick us up from our homes, and they will just drop us at the school, which was not very far off from where we were living. So that was the first social opportunity that I had when I had to make friends, go to school, meet with people from different parts of the country.
Yeah.
When we were living in my grandparents' house, it was more of a very limited community. In the Air Force, it
Mm.
was a larger community. So I had to
Extended.
really expand, my thinking, my social skills, my communication, even my hobbies. I started realizing that I like to ride the bicycle. We used to go to the swimming pool, so I picked up swimming. So I learned how to swim when I was at the age of, I think, 6, if not earlier than that, because there was a swimming pool next door, and we used to go there every summer vacation. So Air Force was really giving us a lot of perks and privileges because my dad was in the Air Force, which I can say other Jordanian kids from my age, they were not really privileged to have access to. We're
Mm.
talking about early 70s. We did not have clubs. We did not have, swimming pools. We did not have football play fields. But the Air Force, being the Air Force, and because the whole headquarters were built by the British back in the 1940s and 50s, I would say that I was one of the lucky ones, one of the privileged ones who have had the opportunity to learn to swim at an early age, learn how to ride the bicycle. And at that time, if you remember, I don't know if you recall or not, but skateboards were introduced to the world. That skateboard where you just, not roller skates, but skateboards. And I remember my father used to travel to United States a lot by virtue of him being an officer. So he got us, I would say that probably the first skateboard in the country because
Wow.
shops were not selling skateboards at that time. And I remember he brought us a big one that me and
A
my
long
brother could
one.
actually, exactly, a large one. And it was wide enough so that it can accommodate me and my brother. And to be honest, we were bragging about it. We would hold it up and walk around the Air Force
Uh,
campus, and people were just asking us, "Can I have a ride? Can I have a ride?" And it used to be so fun. And I used to just take it at home at night and just polish the fiberglass wheels it had, and I make sure that it's really nice and looking good every time. So that's an interesting phase also because I had the option of either going to the swimming pool either on my bicycle, and my
mm.
brother would ride on the skateboard and he would just hold me from the back and I would pedal so that we both reach there with our own separate transportation, if I might say. So he on the skateboard, I'm on the bike, and we switched that. And these were really nice moments where I bonded with my brother because we used to hang out like almost every day, along with other friends, of course, from Air Force headquarters. So these were my early childhood days back in the Air Force. I would like to share also one thing that after duty hours, because the Air Force had a lot of, they did a very nice landscaping and it had a lot of trees. So we used to go out after duty hours, especially on weekends when there is, officers are not there, non-commissioned officers are there, no one is there except the people on duty. My father would take me, and he had a small rifle gun, and we used to go out shooting birds or sparrows that were there. And I don't know if this was good or not, but it allowed me really to like experience handling a gun or a
Uh,
rifle at that time. And we just used to do it for fun. I don't know if it was good or not killing those poor birds, but my father used to like to hunt a lot, and that was the only thing available. Um, so yeah, these were very interesting times when I was growing in the Air Force, and I didn't know that living in the Air Force, being surrounded in that community would ultimately mean in the future that I might end up doing the same thing. That came later on in my life and in my career.
that
Exactly.
is what we want to explore further. Okay. So new kid in the blocks, you and your brother becoming famous kids in the neighborhood also.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. We did.
surrounding with different people, different background, different families, different friends, and different people with different like professions, right? Different
Exactly.
ambitions. And why did you ended up, servicing in the Air Force like your father did? What inspired you to do that?
Um, Actually, it's interesting that you're asking me this question because I think 4 days back I was invited to speak at Egypt chapter event in Cairo. and they were celebrating the 10th anniversary of the chapter, and they were courteous enough to invite me. And I was told that they wanted also to celebrate. They wanted me to present my celebration as my journey. So I also presented a story of my life, I would say, as part of celebrating something. So it clicks to me right now. And how I ended up in Air Force is something that I did not really plan for, Brother Ha. Uh, Back in the days, in the early 19, no, well, it was the 70s again,
Uh-huh.
early 80s. When I finished high school in 1983, uh, at that time, our generation did not have the luxury of internet. We did not have the luxury of social media so that we could expand our horizons on what is out there, what is trending, what the market needs are. I was 16 years old, 16 and a half, when I finished my high school. I did not get a very high grade, I must admit. I got a 77% grade point average, which was okay. It was not bad, but it was not really outstanding. My parents were hoping that I would get something around the 90s, like 91%, 92%, but I just failed them. That was the best that I can do at that time. So I did not have any particular appetite for a particular profession, to be honest. I was 16 and a half years old. As I have said earlier, I was focused on riding the bicycle, skateboarding, swimming, being athletic, being social. Little did I know that after high school, you need to decide what is your next career move.
Uh,
I, at least, I don't know about my entire generation. I cannot speak on their behalf. But personally, I did not really know what I wanted to do in my life. I did not have that awareness of what comes next. I don't know if that was a bliss or a curse at that time, because what happened next was my father sitting with me and he was telling me, now you have finished an important phase of your life, which is school. Now you're heading for your career path. What do you want to study and what are you thinking of? I didn't know actually. So he came up with the idea. He said, you have lived around in the Air Force. You know what the Air Force looks like. You've been with me in certain activities in the Air Force. You've witnessed some graduation parades where my father was invited to attend. So I kind of know what the Air Force looks like, how it is like being in the Air Force environment. So he said the Air Force he said that I can probably enroll you in an Air Force where you could study and become an engineer. And then after you finish your engineering, you will become a commissioned officer and serve in the Air Force. I thought about it, and because I didn't have any other option actually, and in my culture, you back in the days, it's not like today, you really respect what your parents tell you. It's not that you don't have an opinion, it's just that they matter a lot in terms of what they tell you to do, and there is very less room of, I would say argument or discussion. So I just went along with what my father has planned for me, maybe, or what he might have thought that that would be the best future for me. So I
mhm.
did not push back. I did not ask a lot of questions. I trusted my father. I trusted my mother that they would find the best thing for me. And that's how I ended up being enrolled in the Air Force. That was back in the year 1984. I remember clearly, it was during the month of October when I just said goodbye to my civilian life and I became a cadet. And that was really a pivotal point, in my career, because serving in the military means you have to abandon all elements of being civil. The way you dress, the way you talk, the way you talk, the way you communicate. It's all different in the military life. And not only that, when I was recruited as a cadet, I was under the impression that I would go and pursue my a bachelor degree in aeronautical engineering somewhere in the United States or in the United Kingdom,
Ah,
because those were the two main countries where the Air Force would send their cadets to become aeronautical engineers. However, when I was enrolled back in '84, the policy has changed, and instead of going to the United States or the United Kingdom, as I was hoping to, because this was actually a perk, this was one of the reasons that I said yes to joining the Air Force. I
mm,
wanted to experience living in the States. I wanted to experience living in United Kingdom because my English was really good at that time because I spent almost a year in the United States back in the year 1976 and 77 when my father was doing a course in the United States. So he took us with him, and I did actually my fifth grade in America at that time. And because I lived in America for a year, when I was at the age of 9, when I became 19, I still remembered how fun it was to, be in the United States and meet people from America at that time. So I thought, wow, I mean, joining Air Force and studying in the United States, it's like living my 9-year-old dream again, but being
ah,
mature and more aware of what my career and life would look like. So that's why one of the reasons I said yes. To be honest, I was tempted by the idea to study in the United States or UK at that time. So I said, yeah, why not? Travel, see more people, get introduced to different communities again. I think I had it in me since I was a child. It was somehow my destiny, I would say.
ah.
But then fate had a different plan for me. And what did that mean? That meant that I did not end up going to either United States or to the United Kingdom. I
Oh,
ended up going to a military academy in Pakistan, which was entirely opposite to what I was hoping for or what I was aspired to gain from joining the Air Force.
ah,
And there was nothing that I could do about it. I was already enrolled as a cadet. And once you're in the Air Force or in the military, you have no choice of, I mean, it's easy to go in, but it's impossible to go out because
oh,
that's it. You're a member of the military. And my father supported the idea of studying in Pakistan for a simple reason. The education that they give you is really great. They use the British syllabus, and it was known at that time that Pakistan Air Force Academy really has very good high standards of aeronautical engineering. So from a career perspective, I would get a very good education in aeronautical engineering. So I didn't say no. I could not say no actually. But I was
mm,
disappointed, to be honest, that I ended up going to a military academy in Pakistan instead of a public or civil university in the United States and England, because being in military at the age of 18, uh, it really suppresses so much of your aspirations and your dreams because you're in the military,
mm.
as opposed to like studying in California or studying in Washington D.C. or studying in Liverpool or in Manchester. It's a more of a civil life where you could really go out, hang out, party, do camping, extracurricular activities, go for summer vacations. I mean, you have that liberty, you have
Ah,
that freedom, which is, in your 20s, you need that. You need that in your 20s. That's the time when you're spreading your wings, letting go. I would say getting outside of the control and authority of your mom and dad, being autonomous, being independent. So you start building all those dreams of wanting to go places, wanting to do things, and that was my things in my head. But once you go to a military academy, it was a whole different context. And now, as I think of it, I think it created some sort of a shock for
shock.
me. Like I
Ah,
could not imagine that me, the person who's outgoing, who's an extrovert, who likes exercise, who likes outdoor activities, who likes to socialize with people. I was really listening to all sort of like UK top charts or the United States top 20. So I was familiar with the the songs, the music. I was watching movies, TV series, and all that has been hijacked from me. All that has been kidnapped and tucked away somewhere. And instead, I find myself in a remote base in Karachi where I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, put on uniform, put on what we call them DMSs, which are the long boots. You wear them from dawn to dusk, and it's strict orders, it's command and control. You're not supposed to say your opinion. You're supposed to follow orders. And, it's a different culture. I didn't expect myself to study there. Like, it's nothing like the US. It's nothing like Europe. It's nothing like United Kingdom.
Mm.
So now, as I think about it, it must have created a big shock for me. I was shocked, but I could not really express my discomfort. I could not really express my dismay out of respect for my dad because he
Mm.
made that choice for me. He thought that that would serve me better for my future. And that was the first time I was introduced to like being very sharp, very accurate, very punctual. Always say yes. No need, there is no room for argument. There is no room for discussion. It's obey, obey, and nothing but obey. And at the same time, I had to study aeronautical engineering. I was preparing for my Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Engineering in an environment where it's command and control, very strict discipline about your behavior, your conduct, your cadetship, your officer-like quality, your communication, your posture, the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you communicate, the way you show respect for your superior cadets and superior officers, even the way your leadership styles get shaped by the military flavor, which is
Mm.
not a common thing if you compare it to the leadership concept which we have in today's world. It's a different concept altogether. So for 3.5 years, I was in an environment of, I wouldn't say oppression, but suppression, command and control, total obedience, total loyalty. Um, it was very strict. It was very harsh. Uh, Everything was to be done by the book. You have to go out for your weekend on a particular time, get back before a particular hour, and you have to have that piece of paper which authorizes you to go out. Even if you feel sick, you have to get a permission to go to the combined military hospitals, the CMH. So everything was structured, everything was confined. There was very little room to creativity.
Ah.
There was very little room to expressing your opinion, whether this is good or this is bad. And I think, as I think about it right now, the most frustrating thing about it is that you have either, um, if you cannot, you have to fit in
Mm.
such a way where in and out you're the same. Like you cannot think differently, you cannot dress differently, you cannot act differently because you would be an outcast. You would be expelled of that system, and expelled from that system means I go back to my country empty-handed, no degree, full of shame. So I had to suck it up, roll with the punches, do as they do, say as they say, walk as they walk. Whether I like it, whether I'm convinced with it or not, I had no option.
Three and a
Did
half
I
years.
Yes, but I asked myself, did I enjoy it? To be honest, yes. There were some enjoyable moments. I
Ah.
found, I really found pride in putting on the uniform. It
Mm.
was really a moment of pride. I liked the sense of discipline. I liked the sense of dressing up sharp for a parade. I like the fact that I can command people. I can stand in front of a crowd and address them, probably motivate them. And I noticed now, since I'm thinking about it, in my second year, I was actually given a leadership role.
Oh.
And why was I given this leadership role? I think because my superior cadets and officers saw something in me. So I was given the title of, I forgot the name right now. I wanted to say a credentialed cadet because I work in ICF right now and we talk about credentialing. But I was given a special rank where I wear
Badge.
my exactly on my shoulder, and was it was called an appointment holder. Now I remember. So I was an appointment holder. So what does that mean? I was one of the selected group of cadets in my course that would lead in a parade. What does that mean? That means that as I progressed in my life, I became a squadron commander. A squadron commander actually will be in charge of a squadron, which would be around 30 to 50 cadets from the
Mhm.
same group, and I would be in front of them holding the sword, not a rifle. So while everyone in the parade will hold rifle, as a squadron leader or a squadron commander, I would be standing in the middle of my squadron, of my flight, and I would have the sword. And we
Mhm.
have a special uniform that distinguishes us from the rest of the cadets in the parade. So I was an appointment holder when I was almost at the age of 19, which now makes me think that those officers, those cadets saw something in me that looks like a good leadership qualities that they have assigned me this role because it's a privilege and an honor to be assigned this. And
One
this
second, hold
also,
on.
yeah,
Brother Haitham, you were not happy when you put in there. From the extrovert person with ambitions of going to the UK or the US, now put into a nowhere base in Pakistan, and you're not happy at all. How could you thrive in that not happiness, right? In the land of no happiness, and still demonstrate your leadership traits so that your leaders being able to see that inside of you and give you that, potential of leadership roles?
that's a very interesting question. Very interesting question. I would like to admit over here, Brother Ha, that when I started my studies in Pakistan and I faced that, you know, cultural shock, um, I did not do good in my studies. I did not score good grades. So I think to express my discomfort, I lost interest in studies. But I felt so much interest in command. What does that mean? I really enjoyed the fact that when you are going to the college block and coming back, you're moving in a flight. So I liked the sense of discipline. I appreciated the sense of organization, the punctuality, the respect, the honor, all those values which the Air Force or the military life instills in you. I connected with those and I disconnected myself from the studies. So I think in answer to your question, I have expressed my discomfort, my lack of happiness, my lack of satisfaction by disengaging from the academic side, which was too much for me. I could not handle the pressure of academics and the military life as well. So for me, I guess it was easier, or I felt myself more connected to the system of being in the military, the discipline, the respect, the integrity, the honor, the the I think, the sense of belonging, the pride in putting on a uniform and serving a nation or serving the military or serving the Air Force. I felt that those outweighed my interest in aeronautical engineering. I did not really like so much studying about propulsion, aerodynamics, thermodynamics, statistics, and all. They did not resonate with me. But whenever there was a parade, whenever there was a military activity like camping or addressing people or communicating, you would find me there on the, on the first in line, to the extent that I started learning the Urdu language, which was
Urdu
not
language.
easy. And why was that of an interest to me? Because when you are in the parade square, when you are commanding your flight, every command that you say in the parade ground or the parade square has to be in Urdu. Like forward march, it has to be done in Urdu. Left turn, right turn. So all these expressions have to be in Urdu. And I still recall some of them, like Jaldi Chal. Jaldi
Ah,
Chal means fast forward. Aista Chal means slow motion or slow march. And then Dane Per, Baye Per, Piche Per, left turn, right turn, back turn. So all these things resonated for me. I think now, I didn't think about it back then. I was 19 years old. But now,
uh-huh.
since we're having this discussion, I think it resonated well with me because I felt that inner ability to command. I had it in me. I was able to really address people, communicate with people. And if there is one thing that I took away from the military life, it allowed me the opportunity to stand in front of a crowd and talk to them. I have no issues of public speaking opportunities. In fact, one of the things that they teach us as part of your officer like quality when you graduate is the ability to stand and address people, because that's part of you, who you are as a leader, whether you are in the military or the private life or in any role. And one way of doing it, I think there was an exercise they would do which is called the dining out night.
The
So
what?
the dining out night. So what is the dining out night? In a particular day, they would say that this squadron would meet and we would just socialize and network with our flight commander, who is an officer in charge of us as a group. Okay? And one of the things that they used to do in this dining out activity, we're dressed really nice and we're putting the bow ties, the waistband, and we're looking really gorgeous and handsome as young cadets. So, one of the activities that they used to do in order to foster your communication and leadership skills, right at this spot, they would announce a topic and they would ask someone from the cadets to come up on stage and spontaneously start talking about that topic. Improvise and talk about that topic for 5 minutes. Now, I want you to imagine if you were that person sitting in a dining hall, waiting for the topic to be announced, and then your name is called out. Unprepared, no text, no script, and then the squadron leader, the officer in charge of you, will be assessing your performance, how you stand up on the rostrum or the podium, how you communicate, with no prior knowledge on context about the topic. That shows improvisation. How will you improvise in situations where you are not prepared with any resources? So that is the part, Brother Ha, that I really appreciated about my military journey in Pakistan Military Academy, in the Pakistan Air Force Academy, where I finished my Bachelor of Engineering. So
Mm.
I was not happy to some extent, but I think what I did brilliantly is that I embraced every opportunity to make the best of those circumstances that were somehow inflicted upon me because I didn't know what I was signing up for. So I, in a way, made lemonades out of lemons.
Ah,
I tried to find where my passion lies, what are my areas of strength that I can utilize, that I can capitalize on, and that was leadership. I became a squadron commander, I was a squadron leader, I was a sword holder, and I may add that when I graduated from that academy, I barely made it with academics. I was not good in my academics. Like engineering was not my thing. My
Mm,
thing was the military character.
mm.
So when I graduated, my I think my grade point average was around 2.3 or 2.4 out of 4, which is rather low, but my military grade was 3.6. So this
Ah,
shows you that I
your
was more
interest.
in where my interest was lying, and I think that continued even after I graduated when I became a fully commissioned officer in the Air Force.
So you're more into the leadership like field rather than the like the engineering field. And when I listen to this, the thing that you share, Brother Haitham, I remember your mother. You know, like you're 5 years old, and then you sneak out into the ground floor. You sat on the bench. You watch her teaching, and those watching moment of her demonstrating in front of the class, right, teaching people, talking. Perhaps it's paved some inspiration inside of that
Hmm.
young son of one day he's gonna sit in front of a lot of people later on in his life and talking and teaching and commanding. You see, everything in life is coming in full circle. It's just that yeah, sometimes we need busy life, we don't really realizing it. But when I mention it, do you see the commonality in that?
Well, I never thought of it this way, to be honest. I mean, thank you for reframing and reflecting on this. Now, since you mentioned it, I do believe
Mm.
that's where I got it from. Because I
Yeah.
do remember vividly, right now, clearly, my mom in front of that blackboard. And at that time, we didn't have magic boards or anything. It was a simple blackboard with a chalk and an
Uh-huh.
eraser, so that once you erase the board, all those dust particles come down. And I used to just erase the board for her. Maybe because I spent my early childhood days
Yes.
watching her teach. I was absorbing all that, you know, all those tips, all that, communication skills, body language, without knowing it. And
Mm.
then probably the second contributor to that, when I used to escort my dad for parades or for some Air Force activities, I used to see him how he used to shake hands, how he used to walk, how he used to address people. So for a 5, 6, 7, 8 year old, I was not aware of everything that I was around me, but I think my senses were very alert and I
Yeah.
was just absorbing all that. And over time, all these experiences have shaped me to the person that I am right now without
Yes.
me knowing that this would look like that in the future. Probably you're absolutely correct.
Without you knowing, because you are a curious person. So you have so many
Mm-hmm.
curiosity leading you to different things. So it just coming very natural, right? And then when
Mm,
you're the
yeah.
observer, and it's just coming
Yes.
very natural. And from the engineer, moving out and be in the industry for aviation for like 30 years, right? And then you move to the
Yes.
space for commercial, for leadership space at the ICF, and getting out of the aviation, the Air Force after a very long period of time. How did you feel leaving a space that you've been like, making your name, making your legacy there, onto somewhere else that making a new legacy for you?
It was it was pure luck, and I think when I reflect on my journey, I must admit that I did not really plan most of the destinations of my journey. I did not. I'm not that. I hear people say that they always lay down a plan for their career and they just do it. I am not that sort of person. So after working in the aviation for 29, 30 years, 9 years were in a private sector where I was exposed to a different, uh, you know, flavor of aviation. I realized that, I'm done with aviation. I've done it for 30 years, 29 years. I worked in different fields of aviation, being commercial, quality assurance, project management, probably a little bit of logistics, quality control, quality assurance, control, heavy maintenance. So I said, like, what is next? Like, I cannot see myself progressing further. And it so happened in my last job before the ICF, I was really suffering from toxic work environment, regardless of what contributed to that. But the last 2 years in my aviation journey were not really pleasant. I think they were the worst ever in my career. They were even worse than the military life that I had in my Air Force Academy. And I stayed there because I don't know, I just didn't have an option. I did not think of an option. It was
Mm.
only when I took the coaching course in 2016 and I was exposed to the wonderful, impactful power of coaching. Because at that time, I I really embraced everything that course has taught me about coaching, active listening, powerful questioning, the coaching presence, the coaching mindset. And in fact, every single time I was in a coaching conversation with one of my cohort students or with our instructor, I talked about myself. I really availed that opportunity to bring in a topic that was not sitting well with me. And that topic was my career, my life. So by the time I finished my coaching course, I became a member of the International Coaching Federation, and I
Wow.
realized with all my heart that the job that I had was not for me. The same thing, the same feeling that I had after serving 20 years in Air Force, I realized Air Force is not my cup of tea anymore. That's it, I'm done with it. So I had the same feeling, same notions, same ideas came into my head. And that was the time when in early 2017, I submitted my resignation from my previous job and I said, I'm looking for another job.
Mm.
And I stayed from January 2017 until August 2017, searching, exploring what is out there for me, what opportunities are on the horizon.
Mm.
I was applying for different jobs. I was looking for jobs in aviation actually, because that's where my entire expertise in. But at the same time, I was volunteering for the Jordan chapter, which was 1 year old, and I found so much joy and fulfillment in volunteering. I
Wow.
also started doing some coaching sessions for my inner circles, the people that I know, in hope of getting my ACC credential because I didn't have a job, so I might as well do something useful with my time. But it was during that time, when I spent it really reflecting a lot on. I really connected with my creator. By faith, I'm a Muslim, so I
Mm.
spent most of my time, you know, talking to God, praying, meditating at night. Um, like anyone of faith, that you reflect, you talk to your creator, you try to get some answers to questions that you have. And it was my destiny that I learned of an opportunity in the International Coaching Federation.
Wow.
And when it was presented to me, I said, what? Me working in ICM? No, I'm just a member. And the person who presented me this opportunity said, look, I know you for almost a year now. I know about your journey. You have what it takes. Just apply. Just apply like any other opportunity that you have applied for. And I said, why not? Like that was the
Wow.
first time that I looked back and I said, it's worth giving a shot. Like I'm applying for a dozen jobs. Why not this one? And believe you me, that was the job that I was interviewed for. That was the job that I was hired for. And I am so blessed, to be honest, to be given a second chance in life where I worked for 19, 20 years proudly, happily in a military environment. And then I worked for 9 or 10 years in a uh, uh, corporate environment. And now I'm working for a non-for-profit. So I think I'm fortunate in a way that in one lifetime, I have been blessed and fortunate to work in three different work environments.
Yeah.
I know that there are so many people that are like me, but we're not a lot around the world. To have the opportunity to work in a government military environment, then for a profit, and then for non-for-profit. So I'm lucky. I'm lucky and I'm blessed and I'm really fortunate.
So those days and nights that you have conversation with your creator, your God, right? And one day he show you the opportunity, he appears to you for you to respond. And if I look at, my wife and I, we are writing a book about newness, and I'll share with you a little bit about that. When we interview 1,200 experts in 7 continents, 100 countries, right? And all of them, the secret behind all of their success and newness. They're very open to newness, and when opportunity open, even they have doubt, they open to that opportunity. When you think that you're not ready, but someone came and say, "Hey, you are overqualified for that. Why not give it a try?" And you gave it a try. That's newness, right? And from that newness, it's open doors for you to a new territory, to new field, meeting new people, doing amazing thing that you never thought that you would do it in your lifetime if you keep going in the aviation space, right? And we had for 8.5 years in the ICF. You travel in the region, you meet a lot of amazing leaders. How do you feel about that 8.5 years of awesomeness?
Mm, it's I was actually talking about this journey with fellows in Egypt, as I told you, where I was 3 days back. I never thought when I joined ICF, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I read the job description. I said, you know what? I think I can do 60% of it, and I would learn how to do the remaining 40%. That was my initial gut feeling. And I would like to echo what you have said, since you have mentioned it. I don't think there has ever been an opportunity that was presented to me, and I said no to it. Even when that opportunity was joining the Air Force into something that I was not 100% happy with, I did not say no. But now I think what you said about openness and newness is what characterized might have been one element of success that I had. I don't say no to opportunities. The worst thing that can happen is that I will not succeed with it. Then I would know that I have done my best, but that thing is not my cup of tea. So there's a takeaway and there's a lesson for it. For the past 8 years in ICF, I have experienced growth in so many ways. I thought that when I joined ICF, I was 50 years old at that time. Like, what can you learn at 50? Like, I've done it all. I've learned it all. I've known it all. And that was a lot of ignorance on my side. And that's when I realized that, you know what? There is never a time when you stop learning. That was my learning. There is never a time when you stop learning. So I started learning about cultural differences. I started learning about cultural nuances. I had to really make those mind shifts where if I'm working or if I'm working with a group of volunteers or stakeholders in the Middle East, it takes a little bit of a mind shift to do the same work if I'm doing the same job with volunteers from Asia Pacific or from Europe or from Africa or from United States. Yes, we all share the same common and goal, but the way you work, the way you communicate, the way you present your ideas has to be tweaked in a way that it is compatible, it is aligned with those cultural. I never say there are cultural barriers. I would say there are cultural nuances, cultural differences that we need to be conscious of, that we need to be aware of in order for us to succeed and create those alliances with different stakeholders around the world.
Mm.
And then I started exploring about my leadership. When I joined ICF, I was not managing a team per se. I was a team player. I was not a team leader. Then, as I progressed in my career, in my job with ICF, I was given additional responsibilities and duties as part of my growth and success, alhamdulillah. And then I became in charge of managing a group of staff. And that allowed me an opportunity also to explore my blind spots, my biases, my weaknesses. And that was the opportunity also for me to start working with a leadership coach where they took me through a journey of further self exploration, awareness, creating that coaching mindset sometimes, creating that curiosity in everything that we do. To be honest, the word curiosity, openness, embracing, exploration, it was not in my dictionary. Because when you are in the Air Force, you have a different vocabulary that needs to go in your dictionary at that time. But
Ah,
as you change roles in life, as you change
brings
positions, as
back.
you
Yeah.
exactly, as you embark new opportunities, I mean, you need to adapt, you need to change, you need to use different vocabularies, different expressions, different mindsets, different approaches, and for that you have to be agile, you have
Yeah.
to be resilient, you have to be adaptive, and all these things are marvelous. Like once you become aware of them, they are so rewarding in the job that you do because I mean, they create, they shape the new you that is ready to really execute your role and mission in life, to define your purpose, sort of thing. So I would say it was a phase of metamorphosis that you're shedding a different skin. You're putting a new skin right now that you need to be comfortable with, and you dress proudly so that you can be the person that you are, serving the purpose that you have been for.
Beautiful. I have a few last questions for this conversation. Beautiful conversation, Brother Haitham. And first question is one my wife and I always love asking every single one joining as our guest. We love to help people to improve their ability to think because there's so many things that impacting our thinking capability these days, right? And one of the way that Vivian and I can help is to ask, the secret behind thinking, from the people that join in the show, and so that other can listen and maybe they pick something for them to practice. So, Brother Haitham, how have you been growing your ability to think?
Can you say that again, please, Ha?
Brother Haitham, how have you been growing your ability to
Oh,
think?
oh my God. This is a powerful question. I think one of the things that I would do or that I'm doing is, as part of my growth, is admit to the mistakes that I make, um, and express apologies if I make a mistake towards a person or anything that I do, and at the same time admit that I do make mistakes and I'm willing to learn from my mistakes. Also, part of my growth is to look at others and learn from them, no matter where they are in the hierarchy or no matter where they are in the organization, no matter where they are around the world. Learn from others because I have not mastered everything. I don't know everything. Admit to my limitations and be able to really embrace others' opinions or others' differences. I can't be right all the time. I might be right some of the time, but I cannot be right all the time. I
Mm.
think also developing my growth is working with a coach that has been really helpful, so that I would really find my true self. I started realizing that some of the things that I have done in the past in my previous career may not have been the best thing that I would have done, but I give myself the permission to make mistakes because I know genuinely that everything that I did it with the best of knowledge and capacity that I had at that time. And as I grow, I I feel that I'm more able to really make better decisions, communicate better, uh, do things differently. And I realized one thing, that no matter whether you are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or even 70s or 80s, there is still room for you to learn from your own mistakes, to learn from the mistakes of others. And one important thing that I started realizing only very recently, the power of reading.
Really?
Reading, I have not been doing a lot of reading in my previous years. Now I am becoming more interested and more passionate about reading. I finished a couple of books in the past 3 months, which I've never done before in my life. Never, ever, ever. And every book that is being handed over to me, I embrace it. I put it on my next to read list. So reading more, being more aware, learning from my own mistakes and learning from others, admitting to the fact that I don't know it all. I'm okay to make mistakes. And once I do that, I acknowledge them, but I embrace them and I apologize for them. And these are my only, not only, these are some of the few things that I do as part of my continuous growth journey that I have, and whether it's for my job or for my personal life, even. There are people around me, like my wife, my kids, my brother, my sister, my nieces, my cousins, my aunts, the people
Mm.
around me. Uh, I may, you know, I may not be 100% correct in dealing with them, so I apologize. I try to explain myself, and I started exploring the importance of being curious about things, always being curious about things, not to assume things, not to judge, but just curious, like, is that what you meant? Can you tell me more about it? It is really a powerful thing to ask. It is really a powerful thing to practice, because it really invites people to really share more, and so that you build a proper expectation and understanding of others.
Wow. So beautiful. I want to bring you, I first thought of bringing you to the moment that you sit in the bench watching your mother to teaching, but I want to bring you to a different moment. I want to bring you to one of the dinner when you still living at your grandfather's house. And 18, 19 people back then, right? So you and me today, we're gonna travel time. We wanna walk into one of that dinner with a lot of people. You wanna introduce to everybody that you are the Haitham from the future, and you're gonna share your life journey and with wisdom, with a lot of travel, meeting so many different people in the world. Anything that you wanna share to that 18, 19 people and that dining table. What are you going to tell?
Wow. Well, most of the people that were sitting on that table are not here with us anymore. So may they all rest in peace. But if I were to tell them, I would say that I'm really proud of my roots, my origin, my background. And I do believe that every interaction that I had with each one of them or around them has really created the person who I am today. Like, and there is also something that I would like to tell them is, um, like, they may not realize what they have contributed to my existence today, but it's the things that they have said or the things that they have done when they were on with us on in this life, that has really created those nice memories that sometimes I reflect upon. My grandfather, my grandmother. Um, I yes, I did put some effort to be the person I am right now, but I cannot really deny the fact that every person that I have come across have really touched me in certain ways. Even those people who were not really good and kind to me, I think they have done me a good deed, because I learned also from those experiences as well. So I would tell them that I'm really proud to be part of that family. I'm really proud to be Haitham Shaheen, the person I am, with all my imperfections, with all my flaws, but also with all the good things that I have inside me, with all the good things that I have for people who really respect me and admire me. And I do hope to always be the best version of myself, knowing that is impossible because perfectionism is a myth for me. But you could always do your best. And I think that's what we are asked for. You cannot tell somebody to do something that is beyond their capacity and their ability.
Brother Haitham. And I'm thankful that you are now part of our family, our brothers, right? So I'm thankful that you spend in your morning joining our program. And I hope that I deliver my promise to you that you're going to have a good time together in this conversation. And I learned a lot from this conversation. I learned a lot from the struggle that you've been having and how you're overcoming the struggle and the resilience to deal with all the challenge that put into your life so that, you have faith in that journey and that journey leading to continue of growth and helping others to grow along the way. That's beautiful. So, uh, I look forward to our meeting in person again. And this next time, we're gonna go to my hometown. I show you where I grew up, and if I go to your, to your region, I'll let you
Please.
know in advance, and then we're gonna meet and have tea together, coffee together, my brother. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Ha. And really, really, this past hour that I spent with you, thank you so much for giving me the space to go back in time and really think about my journey because I have never done that so consistently and so focused in a 1 hour time period. I may remember bits and pieces as part of my travel and discussions with other, but you have provided me the space, you have provided me the opportunity and the time to really go slowly over those years and appreciate every minute of it. So I owe you huge thanks. I really thank you so much for making me pause and stop in the middle of this VUCA Bani world that we are in and just go over the journey in time as you have said it because it has been really refreshing for me. And I thank you so much. I'm thankful for the fate, the stars that has brought us together so that we have this lovely conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother. Have a beautiful holiday season, and I look forward to our chance to meet in person. Say hello to
Same
your
here.
family for us, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all the work that you and your lovely wife, Vivian, your lovely wife is doing. My regards to her as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.